Well, guess what? Today's the day. Today's the day to say goodbye to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. You know what? Over the last year and a half, they've been trying to bring Donald Trump down. Over the last year and a half, they have been trying to bring Trump down. They have been trying to do everything they can to bring Trump down. Did it work? No. Didn't work at all. Hold on. Did it work at all? No, it didn't. None of the indictments worked on Trump. They made him stronger. The indictments in New York City went right out the door. The indictments against Georgia went right out the door. The Georgia attorney, Fani Willis, was removed from the case, and she's trying to get back on it, but it's not going to work. The case in Washington, D.C. was dropped. Judge Cannon threw out Donald Trump's case over in documents. You're trying to bring a man down when he got in office in 2016, the beginning. Then he became president. And you tried to indict him for the Mueller investigation. You tried to indict him over impeachment 1 and 2. It didn't go nowhere. You tried to indict him for insurrection. Didn't go nowhere. So now you bring all these indictments against the first president of the United States, and they all just go like this. Right down the drain. Right down the drain. And people saw this through their eyes, that they knew this was nothing but a joke. So the charges in D.C. on what Jack Smith did, they didn't go nowhere. They went out the door. The charges in Washington, D.C., they went out the door. The charges against Stormy Daniels, they all went out the door. Because you cannot charge an indicting president of the United States. So, the last remaining case that stays alive was the one with the hush money case. So the question is Donald Trump is a convicted felon? Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, and I'm going to tell you. A convicted felon is a person that's put behind bars. He's sentenced to jail, he's sentenced to life, or he's sentenced for a certain amount of time. That is a convicted felon. A convicted felon is a person that's put in jail behind bars. Was Donald Trump ever put behind bars? No. Did he spend any time in jail? No. Did he go to court? Yes. But that did not stop him and his people to vote for him. And I said over a year ago that this was nothing but a joke. That none of these indictments are going to stick. None of these charges are going to stick. Merrick Garland wasted America's time, America's money. The insurrection was wasted. The trial of the insurrection was wasted. Even all the other charges in Georgia, Florida, D.C., and all these other trials against Trump are wasted. Even that lady, Eugene Carroll, has all been wasted. Donald Trump's not going to pay that lady. It doesn't matter what the court tried to do to this man. He's not going to pay 1 single cent because he thinks it's all political, which it was. The Democrats' idea, well, they couldn't bring him down Plan 1 with the Mueller, Plan A with the Mueller investigation. Plan B, they tried to get him on both indictment or impeachments. 1 and impeachments 2. They didn't work. The insurrection did not work. So they thought, hey, they're going to make up these phony lies about Trump's indictments. And that they're going to try to do what they can. So Fannie Will files a charge against Trump that RICO charges. Well, guess what? They didn't go nowhere. None of these charges went anywhere. As now Donald Trump, again, for the second time, is the President of the United States. I told people on my Facebook over a year ago that Trump's going to win the inauguration again, or nominee. He's going to win the presidency, and he's going to win it so bad that people are going to want. This is the second time that Trump's beat two women. This is the second time that Trump's beat a second woman. The first one was Hillary Clinton. The second one was Kamala Harris. And the worst thing about it, I don't think we're ever going to have a vice president ever again, not of this century. Not of this century. Kamala Harris will be considered as the first woman vice president, but the worstest vice woman president we've ever had. To me, what caused her and Biden to lose this election are three things. One, the border. She was considered as the border czar. 2, high gas prices. 3, inflation and inflation and grocery prices are another thing that caused the people changing their mind. And you know what's so funny? What is so weird? It was the Muslims that came and said that they believed Donald Trump was going to be the 47th president. How did they know that? They just knew. So all these indictments and all of these trials and trials that they try to do on Trump, not one trial went to court, but one. And that's the one in D.C. Now you listen to me, Alvin Bragg, and you listen to me good. You see what happened to Liz Cheney. It's going to happen to you too. It's going to happen to you, Fannie Will, too. You all failed to bring Trump any indictments. So, let's talk about this again. Is Trump considered as a convicted felon? No. Because he never went to jail. He never went to court. He never went to jail. He went to court, but he never went to jail. And so Judge Merchan says Donald Trump has been sentenced with no charges, no charges, no jail time, and no penalties. But he's considered as the first convicted felon president. How can you do that? Because Donald Trump is not a convicted felon. They only want you to believe it. They want you to believe that Donald Trump is a convicted felon. But he's not, because he never went to jail. He never paid no fines. They tried to get him to pay fines, but it didn't work. Stormy Daniels' lies are just nothing but fibs. Eugene Carroll, his lies is fibs. None of that's going to work neither. And you know, every time they indict Trump, every time they indicted him, it made him stronger. It made him powerful. But what actually done the trick is when that kid named Thomas Michael Crooks shot Trump on the right ear. And the weirdest thing about it, you go back in 1984, a man named John Hinckley Jr. shot Reagan. 1984. But 1981 when he shot Reagan. He shot Reagan in 1981. But 3 years later, Reagan ran for president again, and he won. He was elected in 84 when he beat Jimmy Carter. Then what happened, in 85, he becomes president of the United States. We're looking at it again 40 years later. Trump was shot by a man. Donald Trump's middle name is John. 40 years later makes it 2024. And the next year later after that makes it 2025. So 2025 minus 40 is 1984. Isn't that weird? So was it all planned? Was it all put up to be? Was it all there for a reason? You know, Trump always said that he said God had chosen him to put this country together. You know, and I believe in the Bible. I believe all the words that the Bible tells you about. Well, it tells you about the blood on the right ear in the Bible. It also tells you about the chosen one. It tells you about the things that people don't see. So, Harris thought when Biden stepped down, which he's the second president to step down in the Democrat Party, 71 years later, in 1971, Johnson dies. Ain't it weird? 41 years ago, Johnson dies. Okay, that was in 1971. 41 years later, Jimmy Carter dies. Ain't that weird? It's just the way process works. And it's kind of funny, that's weird, and it's kind of crazy, but it's, and you look at it, it's just so weird how everything falls in place. So, it's very funny, but it's like they couldn't stop this man. This man had like a shield in front of him. They could not stop this man because he had a shield in front of him. He had a weird shield in front of him. So they couldn't stop this man at all. They couldn't stop this man with indictments. They couldn't stop this man from going to jail. They couldn't stop this man for nothing. But it was the Supreme Court that said Trump had immunity, but not for the acts that were done after he was president, but the acts that he was protected, that a former president cannot be protected. But let me show you something. When Donald Trump was in office, when he left off in 2020, he had 10 years of protection. Well, 4 of those years goes away. So that still gives him 6 years of protection on his first presidency. Now, he gets another 10 years. That gives him 16 years of protection. He's the only president with the protection ability right now until Biden leaves office today. Then he'll be the second president that has protection. Everybody else, you know, the old saying is that, well, when you're protected, you get 10 years back pay as the president of the United States. And Donald Trump's already planned after he gets out of office of what he's going to do. He already said what he's going to do. But here's the question. With all these problems they have gone on Trump, Trump's already talking about possibility of changing the 22nd Amendment so he could be president for the third time. How can he be president for the third time? Well, he consumed the position as the vice president. I'm going to tell you, it's going to be a long time before we have another Democrat president into office. Trump's going to keep the door open for Republican presidents for the next couple years after he leaves office. Trump will still be the president. So all these charges against Trump just went right out the door. So today is Inauguration Day. It's in the same place where insurrection took effect many years ago. It's in the same place where Donald Trump now was voted back in as president of the United States. The gavel for the very last time was Kamala Harris. The Speaker of the House is Johnson. The Democrats have no control of the House or the Senate anymore. He has no control of anything. Just like in 2016, when the House, the Senate, and the President were all Republicans. For the second time during Donald Trump's reign, we have a House and a Senate are Republicans. We have a Republican president. So it would be hard for Democrats to try to fight the Republicans because the controlled House of the Senate, the House, and the Republicans. They're all controlled. And people thought that Jack Smith, Merrick Garland, could bring down Trump, Fannie Will, or all these people, or Judge Merchan thought he could bring Trump down with these indictments. Did it work? Nope. Because Trump's president again. The other thing is, did you hear Trump saved TikTok last night? Everybody says TikTok is back online, but I don't see it. I've seen some of it, but I'm not seeing it work. And if you don't have the TikTok app, it won't work. And if you have the TikTok app and you try to download it and you got the file to it, it still won't work. But if you got the TikTok on your phone, then yeah, it'll work. But here's the thing. Everything that they tried to do this man did not work. And I told people a year ago it's going to start backfiring on. Fannie Will has been removed from Trump's Georgia case. The case against New York City is gone. The case in Washington, D.C. is gone. Jack Smith steps down. Merrick Garland is over. We could have our first woman Attorney General. Her name is Pam Bondi. And she's promised to vow to go after the people who investigated Trump, that tried to bring Trump down. But even Adam Schiff thought he could bring Trump down. It didn't work. So, Republicans will vote Pam Bondi in as a new Attorney General. I believe this will happen. And then all of a sudden, the door is going to open. And it's going to start to crumble on these people who actually tried to bring Trump down. And everything is going to start happening, including our former president is going to be investigated. I can see this coming already. I can see all this stuff is going to happen. But there's only one problem. Biden's got immunity now. But here's the thing. If Judge Merchan says Trump does not have immunity, then by law, Biden doesn't have immunity, Obama doesn't have immunity, Clinton doesn't have immunity, and Bush doesn't have immunity. There's another thing I found out also the other day, fast but not quick. Biden, Obama, Clinton, Mrs. Clinton, and Bush, and Nancy Pelosi said they're not coming to Donald Trump's inauguration. Why? Because they're sore losers. But I bet you if Harris won, they would show up. Do you hear me? I bet you if Harris won, they would have showed up. But all these people that I mentioned are sore losers, are not coming to the inauguration. Well, bad news. The Democrat two-tier party justice is over. And hallelujah. Let's make America great again.